Welcome into 9 to noon. How we feeling? Statewide, on the Game Radio Network, on your iHeartRadio app, and on YouTube. Not on X anymore. Thanks, Elon. I'm Billy Schmid. Josh Albrecht here inside the iHeart Megaplex, and John Kuhn with all of you on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line. Damn, that was a bad voice crack there, John. I apologize. But listen, it can only get better from here. As you would say, the only way to go is up after that crack here on a beautiful Tuesday morning. Club going up on a Tuesday. It's Prime Day. Josh is anchored in, ready to get all the deals. He's actually got me influenced to go and scout out some deals. So we're going to have a whole lot of fun here today. And more importantly, John, your neck is not going to hurt from going back and forth like it was last night during the Home Run Derby, because those guys were launching the ball out of Arlington Park. That was fun. It was exactly what I wanted, except after the All-Star game, my celebrity softball game got delayed. It was not. And I was very, very upset. So then I just turned that off and went straight to NCAA football. That was a murkiness from Josh on the response from the Home Run Derby. I got to get your response first before we hear what that was all about from him over here in the Ken Griffey Jr. garb.
I liked it better now than the just straight super duper rapid fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like I liked it better, but I'm still a purist. I still like it the way it used to be with 10 outs. Take your time, and the golden ball. The golden ball that you used to have it out number 9. Those were some good old days. But this was cool. I did enjoy this. Other than Pete Alonso and Gunnar Henderson taking the absolute coon
instant
straight to the neck. It was like they had a dart in their neck, Billy. They couldn't see the base. They were so out. Man. They were out so fast. But I enjoyed it. It was great to see Teoscar Hernandez go and win that thing in dramatic fashion, not just the first round, the second round, but all 3 rounds going through in dramatic fashion from him. But the big takeaway from the night is how the hell you let that girl sing the national anthem.
Thank you. Holy cow. And whatever was going on with her that last night.
What do you think was going on with her?
I don't know what Ingrid did in the pregame, right? I don't know. There's a lot of different ways that you can warm up your voice, right? Some people before radio shows do. Some people before TV broadcasts do. Some people before they sing would do. Yeah, I mean, some different vocal exercises, or, maybe she was enjoying some like Red Cabin bourbon or something from our friends at Central Standard. Like it was
the good stuff.
There appeared to be some potential outside influences influencing how difficult she sang the national anthem there at the end. And I don't like the right answers, probably, John, of like she was hearing herself poorly in the headphone. I like to go for the wrong answers on what happened there for the national anthem.
Yeah, I remember my days when I used to watch American Idol, right? Do you remember those days when it was actually cool to watch American Idol, or did you never do that? Because you were probably
never really did.
Okay, so American Idol's heyday, way back in the day. Josh, do you remember this? You're probably too young too.
American Idol
the heyday, but you were probably
like
young
Kelly
enough.
Clarkson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like those days. Okay, so their headset would mess up quite a bit, or their little earpiece, and then they'd be singing all catawonky. Not that any of us could really hear it like that, but then Simon would come out and say, "Oh yeah, you missed this note," and Paul Abdul would be like,
"Absolutely dreadful."
And then Randy would say, "Hey dog, is your earpiece all right? Because it sounded like your earpiece went out." And how do you know when an earpiece goes out? Maybe her earpiece was out, Billy. That's
just being too forgiving. That's just being too nice.
Before every major sporting event, they have that person practice the national anthem at least once.
Mm-hmm.
Same day.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, well, she came last week and she was fine. No, same day. So she probably practiced this national anthem within an hour and a half of her actually singing this national anthem. That thing was bloody rough. And I believe I looked at, does she have 4 Grammys?
Nomination.
Oh, okay. That still counts. That's still pretty damn important. 4 Grammy nominations? You mean to tell me it doesn't? How many Grammy nominations do you have?
4. Wishful Dream.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does actually.
Yeah.
Composing. You can get Grammys for a lot of different things. It's not just singing.
What songs did you compose, Billy?
Yeah.
Songwriting, a couple of different country songs. If you look at a couple of different Chris Stapleton ones, was a part of.
I mean, not by himself, but he was a part of.
I was in the group.
This is fantastic. This is pretty cool. So he has as many as Ingrid last night, and you do sing national anthems. So would you, or would you have been better or worse than this, Billy?
If I was dipping into the Red Cabin Bourbon, potentially not. Listen, I mean, she's the one that sings a song called "Wishful Drinking." I'm just wishing that was the situation last night. If indeed that was the problem, I would like to say that I would be better. Can't say I would. And also, I appreciate John just going with it right there. Josh, that was pretty impressive.
I know. I was like, oh, is he really going to just keep going with this?
Bought right into it. But that's exactly it. Listen.
Ingrid, so he doesn't have.
You think that Billy has Grammy nominations?
That was very convincing. That was very convincing.
Billy, who's doing radio in Milwaukee from 9 to noon, has
songwriting.
Grammy nominations?
Yeah, come on. Why would you not think
that?
Listen, he went to Carroll. He went to Carroll to be a sports broadcaster, to be an analyst, to be a play-by-play guy. He went there to do that. I didn't know if there was something. The thing that had me, I didn't know where I didn't know the connection between you and Chris Stapleton. But when Josh, and you know this look, when you get that look from Billy, like, hey, don't offend me, I got 4 Grammys. When you get that look from him, you're like, well, damn, I just offended him because he has 4 Grammys. I wasn't even talking to Billy. I was talking to you. How many Grammys do you have, Josh?
Yeah, I don't have any. So.
Yeah. But thanks for being honest. Thanks for being honest.
Definitely working on one though, because sooner or later you might, because I see a couple of WBA awards stacking up by your desk. One that actually has the right spelling of
correct
the show right there, which is also a big plus. But this isn't the first time.
Really quick, I wanted to throw this in. So this is Ingrid Andress with Sam Hunt, Wishful Drinking. So this is how she sounds, apparently not doing the anthem. So you got a little bit there.
So then,
is this an auto-tune thing that you can sound really great with an auto-tune?
Yes, and
definitely
also,
a bit,
look, I think it was fine because it just set up for the rest of the night. It was like, all right, here, this is how the night's gonna go.
This is how it's gonna be.
And there was nothing super great that happened last night at the Home Run Derby. I'm sorry. It wasn't.
Well, yeah, record-breaking performance,
no,
you mean?
It's way more than that. Anytime anyone hit 2 home runs in a row, the broadcasters were like, oh, here we go. And then it'd be like a pop fly and be like, oh, never mind. There were no big streaks. The home runs themselves they had to make it seem like it was just crazy. Oh, that one's launched. And then the StatCast would be like 408. And it'd be like, oh, wow, yeah.
We see that day in and day out.
He really got all that one. The fans weren't really into it. It sounded silent in there. It was garbage.
Damn.
I wasn't. And the thing
How else was the play, though, other than that?
I loved the Home Run Derby back in the day when it was that old format. 10 outs, and you had to, it was okay to take 30 seconds to watch the batter not swing at a pitch, to then see them launch one and everyone lose their minds. Instead, the camera can't even keep up. They got to do dual screens of, all right, here's the last one, but now he hit that one. Now here's another one. I don't like it. I don't like the format.
I understand not liking the format 100%. And this is one where I could see them potentially at some point going back to it. Like, I don't think this is a full
go back.
But I don't know. The
why not?
Because it's a home run derby. I could see them go back.
I hear people say that all the time. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Okay,
give me an example of a time when the sports organization goes back. They go, you know what? That was a mistake. You know, we've done this. I understand we've done this for 3 years.
Too hard-headed.
We're going to go back.
It's just because they're hard-headed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You think Rob Manfred's going to go back?
Do you think they can't change? You think they can't change? You think they can't all of a sudden say, hey, we made a mistake here with this home run derby?
I don't think they're going to. That's why they keep trying to do little changes. It hasn't been the same for 3 years. It's okay. Well, now we're going to add 30 seconds of time.
Yeah, and then in 2015, when they went away from the outs deal, they've tried to find different ways of tinkering it with it, like you mentioned last couple of years. But this one, the reason why people say you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, and Kuhn, you bring it up, there's a lot of it is you don't like to admit that you're wrong. Well, I don't necessarily know that any of these decision makers are that hell-bent on making sure that this is the one they feel right about. And a lot of times it also comes into, are we making more money? I don't don't necessarily know that they're making more or less money on either format of the home run derby. So that is one of the reasons why I could see them going back and changing course if indeed the public reaction continues to be less than enthusiastic. It doesn't necessarily have to be as much of a time situation as let's get this thing rolling. That was the biggest issue they had, right? With the Josh Hamilton taking so long and guys wearing out. Well, it's a spectacle. It's a competition. So if the guy wears out, we saw that last night because they're rapid firing. I mean, 40 swings in 3 minutes. I heard people say, well, it's going to be limited. That's still buzzing a pitch every 4 or 5 seconds. Like those guys they're going to get gassed.
It was still quick, but it didn't look herky-jerky fast like it did before. They were still gassed, but hey, I'm with you, Josh.
Let me ask you a question. Ask you a question.
Please
When you're watching the home run derby, which is more important to you? The amount of home runs or the distance of the home runs they hit?
Most home runs, because that was the one that I bet on last night. I didn't go on distance.
Why do I have to pick? Can I say both?
No, because the new format does not allow for them to launch it as far. It's that they talked about it on the dumb broadcast. Everyone said they're swinging 75 to 80% right now. That's what they're looking. Nice, easy swings. They just need to get a rotation going, get the ball out of the park.
Get into a groove.
Boo. I don't want to see you just make contact and get them barely over the wall time after time.
See, I want to see both.
You launch this thing further than I can see on a regular game.
See, I want to see
break screens. Knock people out.
I want to see Mark McGwire walk up in there like he's, the second coming of Rampage and just swatting these things 900 feet. Yeah. Yes, I want to see that. But I also want to see the little guy step up in there and just hit line drives that barely cover the wall and see if he can out home run Mark McGwire, who can only hit him to the moon. That's what I want to see.
Well, and the thing is too, somebody's saying Hernandez hit 7 out of 9. Yeah, that's a nice little run. I get where Josh is saying, like, you want to see the unloading. It to me feels like my back and forth with golf, right? Like, I like to go see John as somebody that's a very novice golfer. I like seeing dudes just shoot birdie after birdie after birdie, insane putt, drop one 4 feet inside of the cup. But more golf purists say, I want to see a grind through the course a little bit more. I want to see the course showcase and highlight. But there's enough events to have a little bit of each. That's why certain ones where it can be a good blend are even better. I don't know that we have to be full one side or another. I like that they at least tried to bring the outs back into the back half of it.
It was the best part of the night. The ending of the home run derby with the outs, when everyone was watching and saying, can he hold on? Can he get one more? That could have been the entire home run derby.
But the problem is, as I'm listening to some of Josh's gripe here, and I had a little bit of the same disappointment, and I had it for the last couple of years. You've mentioned here in the format and the power and the style. You also mentioned the broadcast a couple of times. The home run derby is just missing Chris Berman. The home run derby misses back.
I
agree. It really does miss that. Carl Ravitch does a bang up job. He's fighting. He's doing yeoman's work. But that part of it, John, whatever the format is, as long as I was hearing Berman fire those off, it did still feel like home on Monday of the All-Star break.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same feel, right? But it's not the same home run derby. This is not your 20s home run derby. This is not. It's not for that. This is a whole different ball game. So it's a whole different sound, a whole different feel, a whole different voice, a whole different look. I mean, Josh is right. There's something about being down to 1 out and needing one more home run,
and then knowing you still got a shot. You could be down 7, but
you could be down 7. Do you know what you always thought when they were down 7 and then they hit that home run and they're down 6?
I mean, one more.
Oh my gosh,
got a chance.
He's got a shot.
Is he?
You get on the edge of your seat.
Oh, he's in a wheelhouse now. Yeah, he's going.
And then he launches one 475 to bring it to 4, and you're like, oh baby, he's locked in. You're in it. You get into it. It's not this. All right, we got 2 minutes. Oh, now he needs a timeout. He took way too many swings there. He's only got 4 home runs. Oh my God. Boo.
Well, listen, other than that, it was a start to the home run derby. Listen, I mean, to me, it all like this is also slam dunk time where, as John just, it's never going to be as good as it once was because the feat is also different, right? Like the slam dunk competition's not going to be as cool as it was when less than 80% of the league could throw down to the style and with the ferocity that they did. Now everybody is yamming with that kind of power and punishment. So it's like we've seen all the dunks. I think we've seen all the home runs. Now you have to just find different ways of making it more amusing for yourself. Like Dan and Elkhorn, since he wasn't a Packer fan, he said my favorite memory of Super Bowl 45 was Christina Aguilera singing the wrong words of the national anthem. I get losing tune or being nervous, but forgetting the words, that is a bleeping crime. How on earth do you keep sane there at that style? John, like that was the home run derby is the best event for somebody to butcher the national anthem. You doing it just before like the biggest game of your life. Looking around like, is anybody else
that happen at Super Bowl 45?
Anybody else hearing that? I don't know. That Christina Aguilera was Super Bowl 45. I thought that was the one before it, but I was just rolling.
Okay, I was going to say
statement. Yeah,
she might have been Super Bowl 45. I can't remember who sang the national anthem, but I do remember from the national anthem from that Super Bowl was Jerry's World. There was echoes and there was so many people in there. It was so loud. Like, I don't know if I actually heard all the words to the national anthem before the Super Bowl. There's a lot of stuff I can't remember from the damn Super Bowl.
So if it would have been wrong, it wouldn't have mattered.
It wouldn't have mattered.
She omitted a few lines during the Star Spangled Banner at Super Bowl 45, which led to an extensive media coverage. She apologized for the incident, saying, I got so caught up in the moment of the song that I lost my place. I can only hope that everyone can feel my love for this country and that the true spirit of its anthem came through. And that speaks to you because I was so hyper-focused on the game. I didn't even know what what happened during the national anthem.
I had no idea. I had no idea that ever happened. I was a big Christina fan back in the day, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hard not to be. It's a banger right there. All right, 414-799-1973. Skipped an entire stanza, still got over the time, though. How about that for Morgan Stevens' points? Still hit the over on the time in Super Bowl 45.
Even though she skipped an entire verse. There you go. That's amazing.
That's making it count. That's how we're going to do. We are going to make it count today. We are going to go right through the tape. Enjoy everything that you get here today on the NicolaLaw.com talk and text line. What we get from you, the Nooners, here today. We got a lot more conversation coming up from last night into tonight. Paul Skeens going to start the All-Star game against a former Brewer. Corbin Burns gets the nod for the American League side. Josh is hunting on prime days. Find something that maybe the Nooners need on prime day and what could make an appearance at Nooner Day 5, as well as we talked about Jordan Love's appearance on the top 10 list for coaches and execs around the NFL at the quarterback spot. Where did his Packer teammates fall? We'll run through those as we're a week away from Packers training camp with Kuhn, Billy, and Josh. It's 9 to noon on the Game. 9 to noon on the game. Thanks for hanging out. Packers are soon to be back. Keyshawn Nixon was back on Twitter last night. Just said, "We the new Packers, young and turnt." Now that's gonna fire some folks up. Young and turnt. You put that on a Cheesehead TV T-shirt. John Kuhn, Josh Albrecht in for Armin Sarian today. I imagine they're already working on that one, but I didn't anticipate that would be a Packers slogan going into 2024. But I kind of hope it is young and turnt. Let's get turned here at Ray Nitschke Field coming up in 1 week from right now.
It's a little early to already be
get turned up,
getting like team slogan stuff going.
Oh no, never too early. No, not at all.
That
not
thing,
at all.
No, listen. All you do is team slogan that thing up throughout the whole year. You wait for a player to say something that's funny, provocative, galvanizing.
Yep. Or as stupid as you can possibly
be. Yes. Any of those four, you put them on a T-shirt right away and you see what happens. I mean, I still have what is it? Is it I own you or is it we own you? Was it I own you?
Oh, I still own you.
I still own you. I have that. I still have that shirt. That was sent to us there at the studio. I got that shirt. That was a great one.
Take that, Olin.
But I mean, you could literally slogan Ja every week.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, you could literally have a weekly T-shirt printer running with stuff that Ja says every week.
The O-line and D-line room, I could only imagine the amount of different T-shirts that come out of there, because as much as I love offensive linemen, I will say one good thing about D-lines. Probably one of the more entertaining groups on the team, if not the most entertaining group, because you're getting a lot of different cats from a lot of different places in the world. A lot of South Florida boys going to be in there in the mix as well, and a lot of guys that think they're DBs more into the large man variety. But like Josh, it's day one today for team camp for the Arrowhead Warhawks. Day one.
Okay.
We're gonna find one or two different slogans here, John, for the remainder of the season. One or two different things is going to get said.
Today's the first day of training camp already?
First day of team camp, baby.
Okay, so wait, how's this camp work? You get to roll this all the way into your first regular season game?
No, so WIA gives you 5 team contact days prior to camp starting. So we go today, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, and then off until August 6th when full
days off in between,
full game start. Yep,
for the body to heal.
Little high days each one. No low days in the middle there.
Good Lord, they changed this thing up. But they go
strategic planning, baby.
Listen to how weird this is. So I just want to get this correct. Have you guys done any on the field stuff at all?
No, just 7-on-7s is allowed. So there's a couple of different days for some 7-on-7s, but coaches aren't there. I don't.
So you go straight from no pads to pads for 5 out of 10 days to nothing to back to camp in call it 2 weeks.
Helmets today and tomorrow. Yeah,
okay.
Mess up on that for that.
Okay,
yeah. So
okay.
helmets
that's not
today.
A mess up. That's just, could you go pads if you wanted to?
I don't believe so. But I am somewhat speaking out of turn there, because when I was in high school, it was 5 full padded days, I believe, before you'd go in and then you do the acclimation period of the 10 hours or whatever.
I hate to say it, and I understand injuries and I understand safety, player safety, all that stuff. But good Lord, I mean, I spent a lifetime of first day of training camp full pads.
Oh yeah, 100%.
An absolute lifetime of it.
Mm-hmm.
You just come in, you're full pads. There you go. College. Do you know at Shippensburg, and maybe this is a reason why they're Division II. You know, I seem to think it's because most guys go to most athletes go to Division I and don't really go. Division II is different. We would have 16 days straight. This is no liability. This is how ridiculous this is. The dumbest thing you ever heard of. 16 days straight of 3 a day, 3 a day. Oh, we'll get an off day. 2 a day.
2 a day.
3 a day, 3 a day. 2 a day for 16 days straight. And would you believe that every single one of those practices you had shoulder pads on for?
I would believe
every
that.
single one.
Yep. Oh, 100%.
Do the math on that, Josh.
Goodness.
That's that's 6. That's 8. That's 8 times 5.
People are
40,
getting locked
40
up
practices. Today. 40 practices right there. Right off.
Too many practices.
Coaches are getting locked up today. So this is our schedule here coming up. We're gonna have this thing fired up. However, John,
this is no lie though, Billy. We all of us had friends that were going to Penn State, or going to Maryland, or going to Temple, or Pitt. We all had buddies that we had played with that had gone to these other schools, so we kind of knew what their programs were. And when we're watching Penn State on Saturdays, and we're thinking to ourselves, okay, well, Penn State goes 2 a day, 1 a day, 2 a day, 1 a day, and they never wear full pads 2 days in a row. That's when it started getting squirrely. What are we doing here?
Wait, how is this
at Shippensburg? They changed the rules going into our senior year. Easiest camp ever. Easiest camp.
Oh, you
had
to be loving that.
Easiest camp ever.
It also was funny where the dread of camp would be the talk, and then like 4 days in, you're just in the meat of it. I can't wait for this to be over. I can't wait for this to be over. And then by like the second to third to last day, once you realize, John, and especially in college, when you realized everybody else was going to start getting on campus, and then you're going to have to start going to class, and then damn, I kind of just wish it was camp instead. When you just get to hang out with your buddies and just go to and from practice, to and from meetings, more importantly, to and from the cafeteria, which made it even better.
You know, camp was the funnest and worst place all at the same time. That's why
Amen.
the way, you know, Packers camp has gotten. Do they even stay in the dorms anymore? I don't think they do.
I don't believe so. No.
See, that's such a bummer, man. I mean, they were the best in the worst days. They were the worst when your neck was hurting to the point where you couldn't really put your helmet on. And when I tell you my neck hurt, I'm saying it was sore, like the muscles were sore. Not I broke my neck and I had to put a helmet on.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, well, people, people get crazy. Sorry. Well, the reason your neck hurt is because you played football and you probably need to get a neck surgery. No, because the lats and the traps and all my neck muscles were sore from wearing a helmet and playing football. When you're, you know, and then you're walking down to practice and your neck's so sore. I can remember my first couple of years in Pittsburgh walking down, because you walked from the dorms to the training room. You walked. You didn't ride in a car. You walked down there because it was all on campus, and your neck would be so sore. But then walking off a practice field, man, you walk off that practice field and you're like, I got lunch.
Great pep in your step.
and then I could play some video games with some guys.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got the dorms to play cards. Like, we have an afternoon, boys, and it is scheduled, and it's going to be the best ever.
You're holding your helmet in your hand, walking out there. All right, let's go. All right, here we go. Coming back off. Fellas. All right, let's get this thing going. Because once that meeting was cleared, now, listen, anybody else understand me? NFL meeting is like what, 3, 4, 5 hours worth of film that you guys were going through on those practices? How long would you guys be sitting in that meeting room? So like once
during camp?
During camp.
Oh no, camp meetings were quick because you had to get out. I mean, they don't do 2-a-days anymore. It's the weirdest damn thing. I would say, I don't even know if they have meetings in the morning right now. I would think that they would, because practice is at like 10:30. Yeah. So I'm sure they come in, they probably have weights. They probably hit a half an hour special teams meeting, a real quick team meeting for like 5-10 minutes just to get an overview on, and then probably like an hour to an hour and 15 of Indy, where they would go over, you know, what they're installing for the day. And then after practice, however long it takes you to watch the film. However long it takes you to watch the film. And then they'll have a nighttime install. And that's the other thing. Without a second practice, then they're going to have a nighttime install for the next day. So it's really weird how the Packers right now, they probably have 3 meetings a day. Mm-hmm. They probably have 3 individual meetings a day, and they probably have 2 special teams
Some of those should be emails, I think. Probably don't need all of those meetings. Send an email, probably easier.
You can't get any good T-shirt slogans in an email unless somebody just autocorrects. See, that's the problem. You got to be around the boys to be filing these stories in.
I guess.
You got to be in.
Seems like too many.
You got to be in that room. You got to be in the trenches.
You're not a meeting guy, Josh? I'm not an email guy. You know why? Because people read emails differently. Some people think, hey, it said, go take the trash out of the break room. Well, that was passive aggressive. No, he was simply saying, hey, the trash is stanking up in the break room.
Get that thing taken care of.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if there's a 15-minute meeting that becomes an hour meeting, and now you're doing 3 or 4 of those meetings, that's your whole day. That's your whole day.
Yeah, well,
a few of those got to become emails that you discuss in the other meetings.
Well,
damn.
we would get jealous at guys who had meetings shorter than ours because they could buzz through the film a lot faster. I never understood this. How the hell are linemen that have 5 guys on any single play getting graded? How the hell are they beating the running backs out, who at most have 2 on the field that need to be graded, if not 1? Usually there's just 1 running back on the field. We should be out of the meetings far faster than the linemen. But I was convinced.
You're the kid in the class seeing the other kids in the hallway.
Yeah.
Oh,
wait, dude, they got out early today.
Come on,
just
come
walking
on. Can
down.
we go too? Please.
Just walking down the hallway. How do 5 guys graded on every single play? Did you take them 5 times as long?
You would assume,
but it didn't. They got done faster. I don't know what they're doing.
Was there an Armin Sarian in your running back room just asking too many questions? Just saying, Coach, one more thing. Could you just run over that whole play one more time?
The honest to God's truth.
Any questions? I have one.
This guy again.
No, this is the honest to God's truth. Most of my career, I was the only one awake in the room. Everybody else was sleeping. I swear to you, more times than not, everybody was, especially down in New Orleans. We had a young coach down in New Orleans, Joel Thomas. We had a young coach down there. Mark Ingram was in there. Mm-hmm. Adrian Peterson was in there. Alvin Kamara was in there. Like we had some dudes in there. And by like halfway through the meeting, it would be just me and him shooting the bull. We would just be talking. Everybody else we're running through the film of everybody else. He's like, Mark, little wider on your first step. Mm-hmm. Okay. You know,
Yep, all right.
Give me the fake little eyebrow raise.
It's
like,
like,
oh yeah, Coach, I got you.
It's like in Anchorman when he says, "Ron, are you listening?" Nope. Well, you should, because this is important.
It's important. Okay, thanks. I won't be either. 414-799-1973. That is, you don't know when you're going to get a nap, because that was what Darren Z and MKE said. Don't forget about the all-powerful nap that you grab in between practice and meetings. But you don't need that nap if you just doze off in meetings.
Man, you'd be so pissed too if you went back to the dorms to, hang out, play some video games, play some cards, and you got yourself caught up. And next thing you know, you're like, I got to leave for practice in 10 minutes. What did I just do? I wasted all my nap time. I wasted it all.
Oh, it's been like 5 hours until I can get another
one.
one.
Now I'm going to be so tired at practice. So much more tired at practice.
Now I'm going to stink today at practice. It's going to be horrible. Nate from South Milwaukee, like this. Didn't play college ball, but looking back, was scared going to Army basic training after I finished. It was something of the best 9 weeks of my life. See, that's one of the funniest parts. You get very psyched out. You get very nervous, get very intense, get very concerned, super consumed. And then once it's over, you're like, damn, that was too much fun. I kind of wish that we could go back to enjoying more and more of those days. 414-799-1973.
There was one thing I hated. The only thing I hated during training camp, the only thing was the preseason games. Because it was, I knew what to do, but I didn't always know how we were doing it. We would go into games and we'd be running simple, basic stuff. And a lot of times the offense that I normally play with in games is not playing in those games, but the fullback doesn't get off of preseason games. Are you kidding me? You got to play at least a quarter, if not a half. So that was always a crapshoot. It was, okay, I just got to get through this. How do I make it through this thing? Because you could have Vince Young, which actually happened at the beginning of a Kansas City Chiefs preseason game, trying to call out the plays, but you have to call him out for him because he can't get the plays out. I mean, he was so young, or not young. He was so fresh to the team. You don't know what you're going to find.
Poor guy's working on those words. Hey, John, you know what the play is. Why don't you just say it for me? That's awesome.
That's what it turned into sometimes.
Hey, here's the play.
The preseason. Welcome to the preseason.
Welcome to the preseason, like you mentioned, of a fullback where you're going into 2 to 3 different groups instead of, hey, John, you're going to get 10 plays and then go and do an interview with Lance Allen and you can take your pads off if you really want to. And that's when you can get iced out and grab a chain. 414-799-1973. Rich from Fondy, this is awesome. Nothing better than camp stories. What great and terrible memories it always brings up. Sure does. And it starts up here today. For some, in the world of high school football. It'll start off with the Green Bay Packers coming up on Monday, and this show will be live from day one of Packers training camp coming up on Monday, broadcasting live bright and early at 9 a.m. He's John Kuhn. I'm Billy Schmidt. Josh Albrecht in here today as well. You're on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line. All's here on the party as the club goes up on a Tuesday, 9 to noon on the game. Squad going up to Amazon Prime for Prime Days and getting all the deals as our guy Josh Albrecht is scouring over on the side. Are we looking at some baby toys? We looking at some household paraphernalia?
No.
We looking at
you got to just do the lightning deals and just scroll
and just see if there's anything you like.
Amazon tells you what you want.
Oh, okay.
You're like, oh,
all right. So what'd you get sucked into so far? All right, you've been awake since 5 a.m. What's the dumbest and what's the smartest thing you've bought?
Well, like that so I got a portable light for
like a reading light
for camp, like to take photos or for videos and things.
Oh, okay. Oh, practical.
Probably
there you go.
No, I probably
gonna expense that
What
one.
What are you expanding your social media repertoire?
No, which is why I probably didn't need it.
Are you gonna expense that?
That looks cool.
Are you becoming the director of social media anytime soon? What's going on?
Well, it's been my title for 5.5 years, but self-appointed. So I don't know if that means anything.
The assistant to the regional manager.
Well, that means that you definitely can expense that one. Okay, so we like that. Okay.
And then I got some lamps for the room because we had construction done by Brewer Contracting.
Leg lamps.
Shout out to them.
Leg lamps like a Christmas story.
No,
we're talking.
like floor lamps.
Oh,
you know,
That could be like that could be a
Okay,
long
that
leg.
could be a long
Be
leg.
a very
yeah.
long leg. Yeah, you could do that.
Amazonian long leg.
yeah, you could get one of them legs.
Okay, what else? What else did you get?
That's all I got so far.
What do the lamps
That's
look like?
it?
What do the floor lamps look like?
Are they the little
Looks
tall,
like floor
bendy
lamps.
ones
No,
or
just
what?
like the straight, skinny ones. You know,
Straight and skinny.
straight and skinny. You know,
Just
That was
the
a
way
gr-
you like your legs.
That was a
Right.
fantastic visual for those that are watching on
yeah,
YouTube.
just like a
Yeah.
nice.
That's
Keep doing it.
fantastic
Do
work.
it a lot more. Do it
You
100
do it
times more.
faster or slower. If you just change the pacing, it'll be better.
Favorite thing I've seen so far
Yes.
on the lightning is
I
a
have.
pepperoni pizza blanket. So it's a
Ooh.
gigantic
What's that priced
blanket
at?
that looks like a pizza.
Is it
what's that priced
formed
at?
like a pizza? Is it like a triangle blanket, or is it just one regular square? Are we talking what, like $9?
It better be a
$10?
square. Better be a square.
Yeah, because otherwise your
A
feet are
circle.
going to be cold right there at the bottom.
$15.99. You see that, Billy? See that? Bill?
$15.99. Yeah, see that doesn't. Okay. Oh, that thing's huge.
Yeah.
Why are there two?
Yeah, well,
Looks like a sack.
yeah, there.
Looks like a pepperoni pizza sack. All right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh?
What else?
Pizza
What else?
sack.
Anything
that's-
else?
that's
That's
an
the best
interesting
thing
one.
you got. A pepper.
That was the best
I
thing you
didn't
found.
buy the pizza
People get
blanket.
fired up about Amazon Prime Day for pepperoni pizza
We
blankets.
just started.
That's
Coon.
the best thing you saw on there.
Clearly you've never Prime Dayed before.
No, I've never. I listen. I'll try priming today. I'll prime today.
Yeah, you got to prime it up, man. Prime this thing up.
Like boom, right here, packing cubes. You know, like if if you don't have
Packing
packing cubes
cubes.
for trips, boom, here they are.
Do
Lightning.
you mean those styrofoam little
Like
thing on
nuggets?
No, they're like
the peanuts?
No, they're like zipper pouches that compress your clothes, and you keep all your clothes when you're packing for a trip.
Don't you just put it in a
Oh, you're
suitcase?
talking the airtight plastic
Like-
baggies?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
wow,
those type
okay.
of things.
How much are those?
Well, there are like 4 different deals going right now. You got 33% off of this one here. There's $30
That sounds like
for that
sounds
one.
like a normal Tuesday.
You know,
I could
How
get
many
you.
come in at?
there's one with 5. There's one with 7. If you need one for your undies and socks as well.
Oh, okay. I could get you 40% off a pair of Beats Solo 4 wireless Bluetooth headphones. It's only $120, so it's on sale. So you got.
Yeah, what do you wanna lose money on that deal?
You got to go with them. Okay. This is
I
interesting.
do have one thing purchased from Prime Day. One thing and one thing only purchased from Prime Day. Josh, do you know what it is?
I don't.
Yes, you do.
I do. Oh, yes. Yes, I do. But see, the reason why I threw it off is because you didn't purchase it.
I did not.
I did.
Somebody
not.
purchased it for him. That's what I'm talking about.
I bought him a stand for his tripod for his camera because I was so annoyed for his iPad because I was so annoyed by his angle, constantly just looking up over his head at the corner of his room. And so on Prime Day, I said, "What's your address? I'm sending you a iPad holder."
So this
that's
beautiful,
awesome.
this beautiful, perfect picture that you get every single day, Billy,
yes.
is all courtesy to Josh Albrecht and Prime Day.
Let's
That's
go. Okay.
Prime
How about?
Day.
Thanks, Bezos.
That's what you do.
That's fantastic
That's
stuff.
Prime Day.
I was looking at potentially buying another Yeti cup that I don't need.
You probably should get
Is
it.
there
Um,
is there a cool slogan on this one?
No, it's like 45% off, and it's the big one, and I only have the smaller
Now,
one.
if that Yeti said this could have been an email,
Oh, dude,
so
yes.
that's you got to take that.
That's it. Well, because that's one good thing that we found that comes from the state of Iowa, our listener Marcus in Iowa had, this could be an email, best first t-shirt idea for the team
for the year.
I'm going to get a sticker. So I'm going to put that on the Yeti because that is exactly it, that we could throw that slogan right there. What would Coach Mike have said if he brought you in for a quick team meeting and then Kuhn just stood up and said, Coach, probably could have just had that in an email. We could have just met you out there at practice.
I wouldn't have flown. The thing about team meetings, Billy, the thing about team meetings is it's the head coach's chance that day to look all his players in the face, see if they look tired. See, you know what I mean? Like there's a little bit of a game that goes on in the team meeting. See if he can inspire, see if they need inspiring. See if anyone gets nervous when the coach walks right by them there in their desk as they're sitting there in the team meeting in the study hall room. Yeah. And it's really his chance to, really put onto the team what he thinks about where they're at during that camp in that specific time. You can tell them, hey, you guys suck today. Like really suck. I've had that happen. Well, just you guys were awful. Like this was terrible. We cannot practice like this. And then you go, oh my gosh, how are they going to fire 90 of us at the same time? It's not going to work.
Find a way.
Curtin Grafton for the camp stories. And to practice, I would just hide behind all the big linemen and do every other gasser when it was 97 degrees out with a humidity index of 120. What hell weeks of early August they bring. But they are fun, and we love them so much, and they are almost here once again. Prime days, camp days. Those are the stories in hour one. We got a lot more coming up in hour number two. Las Vegas was the site for Jaylen Brown's first real statement on Team USA. Also a statement on Bronny that is getting a lot of attention as he was sitting next to a WNBA star that many people wouldn't have thought of. But coming up next, talking Packers football, staying with the pigskin, we talked about Jordan Love getting ranked outside the top 10 by coaches and executives around the league. Where are his Packers teammates ranked? We'll give you some of those names and some of those spots at their own position groups coming up next, as hour two is around the corner as we go up on a Tuesday with John Kuhn, Billy Schmidt, Josh Albrecht, and you on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line 414-799-1973. It's 9 to noon on the Game. Hour 2, 9 to noon. Appreciate you hanging out. Billy Schmid alongside John Kuhn with all of you on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. And entering the fray, entering the fun is our guy Jeff Orlowski. The Polish pipe bomb has arrived inside the Iron Jock Studios. This hour of the program brought to you by Happy Place Hemp and HappyPlaceHemp.com. Everybody can relax because Happy Place Hemp has entered the chat, and they not only for you are ready for you to get yourself a fantastic discount of 25% off when you use promo code Billy at happyplacehemp.com. That's all you got to do. Happyplacehemp.com, promo code Billy. All of your local and legally produced hemp products right here, made locally and legally in Muskego, Wisconsin. Why would you want to go anywhere else for locally produced hemp products when you can have them right in your own backyard? And when you do shop at Happy Place Hemp, you're going to realize that Rob and Chris make everything locally and legally, and also can answer any questions you possibly have. If you don't want to go onto the internet, you can go inside their storefront in Muskego, go and say hi to Rob and Chris, get set up with all of your Happy Place Hemp products, whether it's Delta 8, Delta 9 gummies, CBN, CBD gummies, or pet products, tinctures. Listen, the storms, pets are really struggling. CBD products that Happy Place Hemp has for your pets could be exactly what they're looking for. And those also come with a 25% discount at happyplacehemp.com. All right, 414-799-1973 is the phone number to join the conversation. We're going to have a conversation revolving around some Green Bay Packers here just momentarily. But John, this is as our friend Steve Zabin likes to say, low tide season in sports talk radio. In certain areas of the country, this is a benchmark week, right? Right now, SEC football media days are going on. And yesterday got blessed with the arrival finally of NCAA college football 25. It's real.
Yeah.
It's spectacular.
It's real and it's spectacular.
It was everything we wanted and a little bit more. Got myself absolutely dusted by some 12 to 14-year-olds last night online. Was able to beat a couple of my friends, which made me feel good. Had a young man come back on me. I was up 17-0, lost the game in 29-17. So I was heartbroken, went to bed. But that was the good emotions that it was able to bring up. Real emotions in the SEC, though, every single Saturday, because they like to say it just means more. Brett McMurphy is down covering SEC media days, John, and this is kind of what I wish we were getting and fully embracing and fully loving. Kirby Smart was asked about some different dealings going on in college football, and made a reference to CEO of Nike, Phil Knight, and said, quote, "I wish I could get some of that NIL money that he's just given Dan Lanning." Whoa, Kirby, not even in the same conference. That's what we need. 2 months away from anybody actually playing a game. Let's start throwing some mud as to where the cash is flowing in college football. And the best part is Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs saying, hey, man, if anybody's got any extra change, we could really use some money. So Nike, if you could throw us some bucks, we definitely take them if you have any extra.
It's so awesome. Weird. It's so weird. And you can tell, and I'm convinced of this, that big time Division I football right now is very politicky. There's a lot of politics going on right now. A lot of, hey, we understand this tax code, and we know how to finagle this tax code to best benefit us and our program. And I'm sure a lot of that has to do with NIL money, and people are feeling a certain way about either getting some or not getting some, or not being able to manage their asset allocation. This whole thing is it is the Wild West, and it's funny to me. It's actually funny to me that you would have the Georgia coach taking shots out there at another program because, hey, they got it, and they got it like that. So because of it, you just kind of laugh it off and go the way of the SEC is the SEC. The funniest thing I saw from SEC Media Day is Nick Saban, no longer a head coach, wasn't wearing his media credentials, and he got stopped without having his media credentials. It's like, hey, this is Nick Saban, right? He's been here for the last 20 years.
25
right?
years. I'm coming to SEC Media Days on stinking credential.
He made this media day for the last 20 years. You're not going to let him in without the credentials?
I don't know. I don't know what this credential thing he's talking about here is. All right. I don't know exactly what you're talking about. That is hanging around my neck that I'm walking around. I'm Nick Saban here. All right. I can do whatever I want here in the SEC. That is a hilarious situation to just realize, wait, what is that security guard doing? Did he not get briefed? Is that a rent-a-cop that didn't know exactly where he was walking? Like, I mean, that's somebody stopping Bud Selig at American Family Field and saying, hey, sir, you can't walk over here. He goes, well, hold on. I used to be the commissioner of baseball and I brought the team to Milwaukee. Can I walk in this entrance? No, sir, you can't. You don't have a pass. That would be the mistake that you make right there. I love hearing coaches, because you mentioned it, the back and forth pettiness to then pocket watch different teams. If anybody is crying broke and it's the Georgia Bulldogs, that's laughable.
That's hilarious. It's the funniest damn thing in the world. But you know what that is, Billy? That is somewhere Kirby Smart took one across the bow. Like there was a comment made like, look at what we got that you don't have. And he took exception to it. And he said, damn, how did this happen to anybody but us? How did this happen to anybody but us? Listen, I'm convinced that NIL is going to be used appropriately and inappropriately for the very foreseeable future. And a lot of that has to do with there's not a detailed way to do it exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there's no rails. There's no guidelines.
So it's really just kind of up in the air on how you want to run this thing. And I'm convinced, and it's not the, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. It's the, hey, how crazy and aggressive can you get with this?
Yeah.
Without having it burn you? It burnt you in Miami. It burned him in Miami with the player that transferred then to Florida. Or Florida A&M?
Rashada, Jalen Rashada ended up transferring to, I believe it's Georgia.
Did he transfer to Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he did leave Miami to go to Georgia. Okay.
Sorry, he spurned Miami to go to Florida.
That's what I thought.
Suing Florida and now is at Georgia.
Yes. So there you go. Now you got a kid that's been 3 times through the ringer, and
he's 20 years old, and I don't believe is taking a college snap. Committed to 3 different universities as quickly as that happens, all within like a 500-mile radius. That's the part of Kirby. You're right here in the mix of all of them, just because Dylan Raiola decided that the money in Lincoln, Nebraska was going to be more advantageous than the money that he was going to be getting to go play in Athens, Georgia. You can get a little salty, but I wonder if, and John, you mentioned it for the foreseeable future. Matt LePay talks about it all the time and was having a conversation with Matt. We're expecting to get Matt throughout the college football season, talk some Badgers football. Yeah, we loved those conversations last year. So I think we're going to fire those back up as well once they get to Platteville. But like, it's not only what schools have the most money, what programs have the most money. It can also be what boosters get more and more aggressive and can then double down. Because you mentioned it, to me, it's just the aggressiveness that is the craziest part of it. Playing last night, Isaiah Bond had that massive touchdown catch last year with Alabama, right? To win the Iron Bowl. Remember that amazing catch in the corner of the end zone?
Yes.
That guy plays for Texas now.
What?
Because Texas is just instantly able to go and say, yeah, we can find some more cash. So like that was the thing.
Or was it that Nick DeBoer is now in Alabama?
Kalen DeBoer comes, Nick Saban leaves. He's like, you know what? That
damn, I mixed the two of them together. If you mix Kalen DeBoer and Nick Saban together, you might have the best college coach of all time.
Of all time. Because Kalen DeBoer's record is pretty unblemished. I mean, it's difficult to beat what that one would be. That's a dangerous love child there in Alabama. But seeing the names really just slap me in the face with how transient the sport is at this particular point in time of just, they're not fake names like they used to be 10 years ago when the game was out. Last night, you're seeing it and realizing these top programs left and right are hitting free agency. And it knowing that it's happening. I'm not saying that I had my head buried down in the sand doing Badger post games. You knew what the transfer portal was like, but it is a dose of reality 6 weeks before the season saying, wow, I didn't realize that there were so many different names that I remember just in completely different uniforms and now in completely different conferences with how many different teams split conferences.
The crazy thing of it is, I hate to say it may have evened out the playing field.
It definitely made more teams above average, I believe.
And what I mean by it is this, Billy. It was, there'd be 1 or 2 or 3 teams around the country every year that would have a special recruiting class that could kind of come in and change the trajectory of their next immediate future. But they're not many, right? There were some teams that would have some freshmen that would play, but not many. And those freshmen would change the thing. Now it's just about every team has to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have what was probably a graduating class before of, let's call it 30 seniors. They need to be replenished. Out of those 30 seniors, 8 to 12 to 15 were starters that you needed to bring up from the bench. And it's not like that now. Now it is, hey, you're going to lose about 25 seniors like you did before, but you're also going to lose another 20 transfers.
Mm-hmm.
So you better be in that transfer portal too. You better be able to have some super good depth in order to replace not just the guys who are graduating, but the guys who are transferring from now. So you better be able to play this game. And I think it's going to ultimately create a more even but more volatile playing field, because there's going to be a lot quicker ascensions and a lot quicker drops as well.
One of the worst things to happen to new coaches in college football, Sonny Dykes at TCU, right? Where like year 1, they're undefeated. They're in the national championship game. Now, granted, they get smacked by Georgia, and there were many of those players that were new, many players that were transferred in, back and forth, what have you. But it did, John. It gave people the belief, like, we could flip this thing damn near in 1 year. We should be able to flip it in at least 2 years. We should be able to have something much different. Bring it to the Wisconsin Badgers for that exact reason. Just seeing how many different people you need in your building, right? In your organization to be focusing on what you just said, high school recruiting, transfer portal recruiting, players that are at different institutions that we don't know are going to enter the transfer portal, that might want to enter the transfer portal, that could be coerced into entering the transfer portal. The Badgers definitely have stepped up and beefed up in the right spots the volume of individuals in their recruiting department, which was a massive issue for the Paul Chryst era, but it was a massive advantage for Luke Fickell when he was at Cincinnati. And a lot of them are the same dudes that he brought over to Wisconsin. The early reports on the 25 class, their high school recruiting is fantastic.
Yeah.
I am interested though,
top
because
5?
Right
top
now,
it's
top 5 in the country.
Yeah.
A lot of numbers in there, but now this year we will be able to see a little bit quicker, John, as to how that transfer portal is able to just plug some of those holes, because they had a lot, especially on defense, and they addressed it with a bunch of different dudes, which is going to make it fun. It makes it fun when you have new names and you can feel like you can quickly address some of your issues.
The college football landscape has changed so much, and it's been 25 years since I was recruited. It's hard to say that. 25 years since I was, making my decision of where I was going to play college football. And it has changed immensely to the point where every player is probably seen now. Every player is probably seen today. And that was not the case, right? There were plenty of players that slipped through the cracks, and one random coach would have a connection to one random school, and that kid would end up going there as a favor to a coach. That doesn't happen anymore. Those types of things do not happen anymore. I mean, I hear stories now at Dover, Pennsylvania. Division I schools are coming in all the time just to check, just to ask, hey, you got any players?
What do you guys got?
What do you guys have? They're just making their way. They're making their rounds around the district. Hey, who do you got? Who do you got? And that was not the case before. And now it is. And it's so much easier because now they got, I think it's called Huddle and some of those other ones that you can upload your own video to. And, back then we were watching stuff on cassette tapes, on VHS tapes, and it was a whole different ballgame. So I believe most of these coaches know 80%, and they know 80% of the players that are out there too. And they know the ones that they lost, and they know the ones that they said we're not offering him a scholarship, and they know where they end up going, so that they know in a year or two, hey, I'm gonna go back and see where this kid's at.
Yep.
See how he's developed, and remind him, hey, we recruited you at one point in time. We didn't offer you, but now we feel like we should have. Our bad. Hey, maybe some NIL money is better over here than what it is over there. So, I mean, it's an ever fluid process in college football right now. And a team one year can look 50% different the next year.
Well, and from that exact standpoint for the coach, I would almost, we've talked about this so much and feel slam dunk wise better in the NFL than in college. One thing for college, as it could be better now than it was a couple of years ago, those relationships you form with 16, 17, 18-year-olds aren't as quickly cast aside to then go and grab a couple more, John, once they tell you no. Like you just said, yeah, let's keep that. Let's keep that phone number, and let's keep a little bit of a bud in his ear. Let's just keep a little bit of voice near the back of that 4-star's ear who declined us to go to the SEC to go to Ole Miss and see if, in 2 years it still works as well.
This is a way smaller scale, but I remember after all of my debacles and trying to decide where I was a late decision. I didn't decide where I was going to school.
You flip a couple of times, at least personally or in your head, or
actually they flipped on me.
Oh,
actually some schools flipped on me.
Idiots.
and left me at a spot in late spring of my senior year. I had to then decide where I was going. I mean, track season of my senior year, that's how late spring.
Damn.
Track season of my senior year, I had to decide where I was going. So, and I was in between Ship and Bloomsburg. And I remember telling Ship, I'm coming here. And I remember telling Bloomsburg, I'm going to Ship. And he didn't say anything bad, but his voice was, okay, well, thank you for the phone call. Good luck with what you do. I mean, but it basically sounded like, okay, you're going there. Now you're dead to me.
Delete his number.
Yeah, you're dead to me. Yes. We're going to kill you. And now coaches literally, all right, I'm going from Alabama to Texas. Okay, listen, hey, best of luck to you. Wish you the best. You got to do what's best for your family, right? You got to keep it completely professional, because you don't ever
100%.
know. You're going to get that call next year from that same kid. Hey, I made a mistake. I want to come back. This is where I want to be. And you got to be open and available and willing to do that.
I love that part of it. I love that angle to it, that just is a little bit of a change, a little bit of a shift fundamentally as to how these guys have to continue those relationships and want to keep thinking about it. And, the worst thing that somebody can say is no. And I know it is a negative feel in college football. Not good to go and start poaching other teams' players. However, these coaches are saying, hey, man, worst thing you can say is no. No, coach, I actually am really, really liking it here. Okay. Hey, man, good for you. I'm really happy for you. Keep keeping on. We'll see you week 4. That stuff is absolutely happening. Some interesting stuff happening at the Kohl Center we'll discuss here on the other side of the break. Interesting response here on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. We got a lot of like-minded nooners in this world, John. It works out that a lot of our listeners have very, very similar senses of humor, because as we made the potential joke about the guy looking at Nick Saban and said, hey, sir, I don't think you belong here at SEC Media Days. About 15 people hit us with, same cop that was working at the PGA Championship with Scotty Scheffler.
Very well could have been. That was Louisville. That was Louisville.
It's close enough.
I mean, that's all. That's Kentucky. That's the South, right?
Yes,
that's the South.
Hey, Kentucky's in the SEC. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Could have just flown on through, found himself another job. Hey, where are your coach's credentials, coach? I don't have them, so quit asking. Marcus in Iowa, great work here today on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. 414-799-1973. It's moving for all of you. We have one Packers player, one of our favorites, was not in the top 10 a year ago at his position group, according to executives, GMs, coaches around the NFL that ESPN polls for their yearly top 10 in each position group. One man out of the top 10 into the top 10 this year. One that was in the top 10 last year, out of the top 10 this year. Who might those be? And a couple other ones on your Green Bay Packers sitting on those lists at their spots. We'll fill you in on those coming up right after this. John Kuhn, Billy Schmidt, Jeff Orlowski, you on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line and on YouTube and your iHeartRadio app. It's 9 to noon. Stay wide on the game.
John Kuhn here for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, and it is joke time. And let's start with a Wisconsin dad joke. What do you call it when a cow grows facial hair? Well, of course, it's called a mustache. Now, time for a window dad joke. What do you need in order to cook in a sunny kitchen? Well, you need shade and bake. And I can tell you, I can't help myself right now because my mind is all over this deal at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Listen to this. Pay as low as $18 per window and $81 per patio door per month if you sign up right now. Pella completes installation with no or little hassle and leaves nothing behind but perfect results. Messes? No way. Results are perfect. Again, get as low as $18 per window and $81 per patio door per month at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. When you sign up, don't forget to tell Gina Della that John Kuhn sent you. See showroom for details, and offer ends July 31st. So hurry up. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Few days away from Ray Nitschke Field and Packers training camp 2024. First public practice comes up on Monday, 10:30. All practices kicking off at 10:30. John, do you miss the night practices as much as I do, or as much as some fans do?
I never witnessed a night practice other than family night. I practiced in a bunch of night
practicing in those
never
ones.
Witnessed one, so I don't know what it's like to watch them. But man, they were a fun atmosphere. That was a wild atmosphere. It took you back to high school. It felt like Friday Night Lights all over again.
Still, my absolute favorite moment at Ray Nitschke Field is listening through Sean Slocum's special teams mic'd up moments during practices, and all of a sudden the whistle would blow, and you would just hear this really high pitched voice start screaming through the speakers. What's happening? And then the lights just jump on. The sun just starts setting down. And then Mike brought you guys all in for that one epic run when I think there was like 3 fights and maybe like 5 or 6 plays. And quickly the expletives were flying all throughout the stands on the other side of the field. And it was just a little bit easier to hear because there was just a little bit less people across all of the stands, and you could hear just about every single F-bomb that was dropped in that huddle.
That had to be 2009. It had to be 2009.
Yep. I want to say it was Bulaga who maybe got into the scrap, like maybe in his rookie season.
Well, it could have been 2010 too, but it was between Brady Papinga, Jermichael Finley, and Craig Lumpkin. Those were the major contributors. And number one, there was a shot on Craig Lumpkin in the flat, and then there was a shot on Brady Papinga after a catch. So there was a lot of stuff going on there. But yeah.
That was a great moment. And Nagler and I talk about it all the time as just one of those dealings that it's a bygone moment because not doing 2-a-days again. And it also just doesn't fit into like what we were talking about of the strict calendar as to what the Packers do. Their calendar for training camp is going to be set pretty much day in and day out as cleanly as it can be Monday through Friday. Well, or as we'll find out in the first weekend, Saturday and Sunday, because it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 10:30 for the first public practices next week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all at 10:30 as well. And then the game goes live from Green Bay coming up on July 30th. All of our shows in Green Bay, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for those public practices leading up to Saturday, August 3rd for family night, which we've been told still some tickets available. Very limited supply for family night tickets, but still a few of those available over at Packers.com. All right, John. So I've been mentioning here, we had some fun yesterday with where Jordan Love did not place on the ESPN top 10 at the quarterback spot. They do this each and every year. They poll somewhere around 10 different executives about all different players. Now there's about 10 different votes that each person in the NFL casts. There's nearly 80 voters that submit a ballot for at least one position. And analysts Matt Bowen and Jeremy Fowler go through it all for ESPN. So we still have 2 position groups untouched, the wide receiver and cornerback spot. We assume one Green Bay Packer will crack the cornerback spot of Jair Alexander. Wide receiver would be, I think, safe to say, a surprise if any Green Bay Packer found themselves in that top 10.
I would say a surprise.
So I think we're about locked in. We know Jair is going to be somewhere in the top 10 of the corners. He was not on the list, I don't believe, a year ago. Now that also came after an injury, or 2 years ago after the injury, but then got paid as the top corner in football. So he's comfortably in the top 10 at the cornerback spot. The other players that have found themselves on this list, it started with the running back group, and not surprising, the headline signing for the Green Bay Packers, Josh Jacobs, comes in at number 7. Now, his highest ranking was number 2 after his second year in the NFL. His ranking following leading the NFL in rushing was number 3, but the 25-year-old looked like one of the game's premier backs on his way to 1,600 yards in a first-team All-Pro bid, becoming the first Raider since Marcus Allen to lead the league in rushing. But last season, the volume grinder had just a low of 3.5 yards per carry after the coaching changes and the quarterback carousel in Las Vegas. Any surprise where Josh Jacobs falls in just ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry at number 9, and Travis Etienne at number 10 on the list of top running backs in the NFL?
No, listen, this is going to be a Josh Jacobs season, barring injury. They are going to run the football. They're going to set the run up to look like the pass, and he's going to have a great year. When you average 3 whatever yards per carry with Oakland's Las Vegas, I can't get the word, with Las Vegas's terrible offensive line from last year, at least in the run game, they were terrible. You can see why, people would have him down on the list, but still in the top 10, got the respect that he deserves for being a top end running back. And I truly believe Packer fans have been hearing us talk very glowingly of Josh Jacobs, but I think still, even after all of this glowing talk, they're still going to be, surprisingly happy with what they see here. It's going to be that good of a marriage, Josh Jacobs, with this now offensive line in this year of Matt LaFleur's offense, with Jordan Love and the wide receivers. It all goes together. And some people say, well, what does Jordan Love and wide receiver have to do with the run game? Well, it has a lot to do with where the safeties are located and how fast the Charlies come up on the outside, talking about the cornerbacks and, everything that they're doing there. So I think it's going to set up for a really big year for Josh Jacobs and this Packers offense when it comes to running the football.
And also just from the perfect fit from the locker room style, doesn't seem like there was a better substitution. Still seems, shortchanging what Aaron Jones meant to the group and meant to the organization, but seems like a good pairing and a good person to fill those shoes of somebody that cares about being a part of the community and everything like that Aaron did so well there. Speaking of Aaron Jones, he falls out. He's the number one honorable mention. He just lost a tight battle with Travis Etienne for the 10th spot. The quote from an NFC defensive coach: Green Bay's offense was completely different when he was healthy. He's a difference maker. He's one of the best doing it, but not good enough to be sitting there in the top 10. Now, one guy that was not in the top 10 a year ago, I would always beg to differ. He never gets the kind of credit that he deserves the way that he plays and for the amount of different things that he does. Coming in at number 9 on the defensive tackle is Kenny Clark, ousting guys that he finishes ahead of, like Javon Hargrave from the San Francisco 49ers, Vita Vea, Jonathan Allen, Jalen Carter, Daron Payne, Cam Hayward, all honorable mentions, because this defensive line spot, this interior defensive tackle is retired. And Aaron Donald retired, which obviously which would have been the number 1 spot on that list pretty much every single year. So it's Chris Jones, Quinnen Williams, Dexter Lawrence of the Giants, Jeffrey Simmons, Mama Duque from the Ravens, who had himself a massive year last year and just got him broke off with a 4-year, $98 million deal. Christian Wilkins, Derek Brown, DeForest Buckner of the Colts, and then Kenny Clark, who, like I said, honorable mention, unranked a year ago, has been as high as 5. He was 6th on the list in 22. And John, I think for a dude that has just made his hay as an elite run stopper, we might see a little bit even more of Kenny Clark and a different variety of Kenny Clark playing in this base 4-3 defense that's going to be utilizing him differently in the pass rush variety.
There's going to be a lot of guys playing in different techniques. It's going to look the same to the layman. They're going to look out there and they're going to say, well, Kenny Clark's inside some defensive ends and some defensive
bunch of massive guys around him.
Yeah, it's just going to be 4 or 5 big guys on a big line. That's what it's going to look like. But they're going to be playing in a different type of gap. They're going to be playing in a different type of technique. And I'm excited to see who it marries up perfectly for. And who one guy I think is going to be great for is Lucas Van Ness on base downs.
For sure.
Right? This is kind of his forte. This goes back to Iowa and what he was able to do there. And I think it'll play right into Rashawn Gary's forte as well, going back to his Michigan days, even though he's kind of adapted his game to the 3-4 rush end variety. But I think it marries up great for both of those guys, and as they move forward here in this defense. So I love the fact that our defensive line, it's not going to be foreign to them. It's not going to be new to them. It's not like we're taking, Clay Matthews, outside linebacker, his entire life, and then all of a sudden making him a defensive end.
Yeah, Gary did so much of this at Michigan, and he falls just into the honorable mention spot for the edge rusher, pass rusher spot, where it's going to be the stand-up 3-4 ends and the hand in the dirt 4-3 ends. That's a tough spot to crack when you're talking about some of the best guys in the league. However, you would assume a full year and 1 year completely removed from the ACL injury, and a spot that, John, like you mentioned, he has so much use in, so much background in playing this spot. It could be even a better year for Rashawn Gary than what we saw in 2023.
Yeah, I think what we need to see is we saw Preston Smith have some moments last year, but I think we need somebody else to pop on the opposite side of Rashawn Gary. And once that happens, it'll open the floodgates for him. He garnered a lot of attention last year, especially with the start of the football season, the way it started for Rashawn Gary. It started very well, and he got that attention. He started getting that attention throughout the season, and I think if somebody can start making the pressure that you can't just slide the line one way, you can't just chip with the back, you can't just thump with the tight end. You got to be able to play this thing a little more fair and balanced, and the Packers can move him around a little bit more. Then they would find themselves in a spot where Rashawn Gary will have a little bit more production and potentially crack the top 10 next year.
And it's going to be fascinating to see just how much they still end up rotating those guys, right? Like we didn't necessarily know if that was more Joe Barry, that was more Matt LaFleur style as to how the snap count was always divvied up with pass rushers and seeing how many more, big time plays and big time moments Gary's on the field. I do wonder, that's something that John, first couple of weeks of the year, going to be keeping an eye on to see if that has kind of changed or if that feels like it's more coming from the top as, hey, even though he's our best player at that position, let's keep it at about 65% of the snap load. Let's keep giving him as many reps as possible.
And I don't know who's suggesting that. I don't know. Last year, the way it was kind of relayed to me is that was a Joe Barry thing. He liked that number. He liked 65%.
Yep.
And everybody else just, hey, okay, if that's the mindset, if that's the philosophy, that's what we go with. I don't know necessarily if that's true, though. It could have been a Brian Gutekunst thing, right? It could have been a Matt LaFleur thing. This is how we keep them healthy, 65%. But I ask players, hey, what can you handle? Can you handle more plays? I mean, if Rashawn Gary can handle more than 65%, goodness gracious, let's give him 80.
Yeah, let's give him 90.
Max Crosby does 96 for a season. He might not be able to do that, but what can you do? I don't like limiting players one bit with this potential load management.
And then a pair of number 10s on this list. One guy who, let's be honest, deserves to be higher. The quote on the first line of his statement is, Elgton Jenkins played in drop off. He just didn't get as many votes. He was the 4th ranked interior offensive lineman in the league a year ago from NFL execs and GMs and coaches. He was ranked as the 10th best interior offensive lineman in football in going into the 2024 season. And newly acquired Xavier McKinney cracks the top 10 after being floating all around on the safety spot. He comes in at number 10. He had been a couple of years ago number 4. Then was unranked honorable mention. Now is number 10 after playing almost every single snap in a contract year and 11 passes defended there with the New York Giants.
Yeah, so he's cracking it. He's getting a lot of people's attention there at safety. But Elgton Jenkins, where that goes is, and when you go down to Atlanta and you get injured and then you miss, how many games did he miss with that knee injury?
2 or 3.
2 or 3. What ends up happening, I mean, these are executives. So these are scouts. These are coaches. These are, personnel department guys. What happens eventually is you just start seeing film of other people. When you watch that much film, you start seeing film and you start seeing less film of Elgton Jenkins as you're watching film to be able to say who your best guys are. I know there was a couple years, people would ask me about a guy on a team we would never face. Well, a guy on a team we never face, I didn't even watch film of him.
Yeah, I don't have
because I had no point to watch film of him. So, I mean, the scouts are watching film of everybody, not the coaches. The coaches aren't. The coaches care less about watching film from a guy on another team. He's going to watch who you're playing against. He's going to watch and try and create tendencies for who you're playing against. So as you're watching this film and it's just absorbing in, Elgton Jenkins missing a couple games last year is probably why he's down low. And listen, when he came back from the injury, he wasn't 100% himself either when he came back.
Sure.
His play wasn't as good when he came back from that injury as it was when he started the season and when he ended the season.
I also think as he ended the season and kept playing better, we talked about another guy yesterday, Rasheed Walker. It absolutely helps having Elgton Jenkins to your right. If you're Rasheed Walker first year starting at the left tackle spot, to have a multiple time All-Pro to your right and helping you out and continue to build more of that confidence later into the season. I don't think it's a coincidence that you saw a better offensive line for the Packers at the end of the year because they were healthy and they had that more continuity. And they did that while still supplementing guys left and right in over at the right guard spot. Very exciting coming in to 2024. All right. Somebody was very excited about being a member of the New York Jets in 23. That lasted 4 plays. Going to be a member of the Jets in 2024. His head coach was not all that excited about him not being at mandatory minicamp. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers. That you've been wondering what happened on that vacation. Well, Diana Rossini, as much as people with the New York Jets and Jets fans don't want to admit it, John, she's in the know about the New York Jets. And she apparently knows how the conversation went between Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh after the 4-time MVP returned from his vacation. You're not going to want to miss that clip. That comes up with the Coons Can't Miss in about 15 minutes. We're back before then. It's 9 to noon with Coon Billy and the Pipe Bomb on the game. NicoletLaw.com talking text line buzzing 414-799-1973 262 TK and Grafton said, John Kuhn, Billy Schmidt, got a question for you fellas. The right place to unload that question is the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. And that question is, John, do you think 52 and 90 care which side they are lined up on?
This is a great question. Sometimes on the talking text line, we get questions that make no sense.
Very true.
But this is a phenomenal question. And I'm glad we're getting into Packers season here. So we start getting some of these good questions here in the talking text line about, hey, how do you think this is going to look out? How do you think that this is going to pan out? What do you think about this guy playing at this position? And this is great because Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness, they might not care a lot, but they have a favorite side.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a favorite side, a spot that feels advantageous to them and what they're able to do. You might be ambidextrous. You might be able to go from both sides perfectly fine. We've seen Elton Jenkins be able to kick slide with his right foot just as good as his left foot. That's rare.
Yeah.
That's right. You might be able to do it, but where do you just settle in as your best spot? So yeah, Rashawn and Lucas Van Ness, they have their favorite side. What their favorite side is, I don't know. I know they each predominantly kind of play from the right side.
Mm-hmm.
They each have done that more times than not. Now, I'm talking about in college for Lucas Van Ness. In the pros now, he subs in a lot for the left side, a little bit for the interior. But I would think that they both probably, based off of the film that I watch, they both would want to, based off of where they're more effective, come off from the right side, right? Come off from the defense's right side.
Mm-hmm.
But do they need to? Probably not necessarily.
Well, and you mentioned Van Ness. He lined up a lot interior in college too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he was doing a lot of inside on the guards in college lining up.
I can see a lot of third downs being a combination of like Carl Brooks, Lucas Van Ness, Rashawn Gary, maybe not as much Preston Smith this year, but still Preston Smith, Colby Wooden. Like I could see this hodgepodge of guys on third down. You don't know who's coming in.
Yeah.
It could be a wave of four, and I don't necessarily know who it's going to be because Kenny Clark, I'd love to get as a wide three. I'd love to get Lucas Van Ness as a wide three. Let's say you're running a 42-0. You got those two guys at wide threes, and then you got two ends that could run TEs or ETs with them. I mean, that's a pretty good proposition you got going for yourself. And if you want one-on-ones, just slide Colby Wooden or Carl Brooks in there along with them, and then you guarantee each guy gets a one-on-one. And those rookies, especially Carl Brooks, did pretty good in the one-on-one category last year.
Big time. And by the way, at least on first and second down, you still got Devontae Wyatt that's going in and out as a former first-round pick. Like they got a lot of bodies up there. And the teams that you've seen, John, making it farther and farther each and every year have a lot of depth there at the front and continue to recycle those guys in. The Eagles had done it so well for so many years of just having a bunch of different waves of four guys that they can run at you, and all of them are different. And all of the four alignments present a little bit different challenge to an offensive line blocking them up. That's fun. It is good that we're finally getting back into football season. I love baseball. I really do. It's a steady companion that's always with you, but there's nothing like this love affair. That's the NFL, because it is hot, it's heavy, and it is just continuing to just be there every single day. And it's finally starting coming up on Monday.
Baseball is loyal. Baseball never changes. Baseball is consistent. Football is erratic.
Oh yeah.
Sexy, volatile.
Yeah. All of it.
It's everything.
Ripping sheets. It's craziness. And baseball is just, hey, what do we have for dinner tonight? It's fantastic. It's good. You need that kind of love affair in your life. But you also need something that keeps you on your toes. And that's what football does. Hour number 3, the best one of the day, always comes up right after this. It features a Coons Can't Miss. It also features Diana Rossini giving you a peek behind the curtain as to how the conversation with Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh when the New York Jets head coach explained to Aaron Rodgers why he went non-excused at the press conference coming up into mandatory minicamp. We already knew that was going to be fun. The audio is even maybe a little bit more fun. That comes up next. It's John Kuhn. It's Billy Schmidt. It's Jeff Orlowski. It's 9 to noon on The Game. 9 to noon on the game. Thanks for hanging out. Hour 3 is always our best one of the day, and we strive for that greatness. We push for it, and more importantly, we continue our quest for it in hopes that if we don't reach it, at least excellence can be achieved, because perfection is sometimes too hard to grasp. I'm Billy Schmid. John Kuhn is right there. Jeff Orlowski is with you as well. NicoletLaw.com talk and text line has been open, has been busy, we've been enjoying the conversation at 414-799-1973. And we're going to get some more response to it coming up throughout the hour. We're going to have a Kuhn's Can't Miss coming up in about 15 minutes from right now. Just moments ago, ESPN released the 75 through 51 of their top 100 athletes since 2000. We had a lot of fun yesterday with realizing that Charles Woodson fell 100, the 100th greatest athlete of this century since 2000. Aaron Rodgers was number 91, and we poked some holes in some arguments and pointed some guys out there that maybe we thought was a little bit of a raw deal. Seeing Chris Paul higher than Aaron Rodgers, maybe that was a little bit tough. Maybe there's a couple on this list. I won't say maybe. There are absolutely a couple that we will take exemption to, and we will bring that up coming up in a couple of minutes from right now. But first, we knew that with the New York Jets a year ago, John Kuhn, all vibes were elite. Everything was great. Hard Knocks was showing how much fun Aaron was having with all his new teammates. Everybody was letting the cameras know, hey, man, Aaron's a good football player, but he's a good dude too. And then, well, all the vibes got bad when Leonard Floyd tackled Aaron Rodgers 4 plays into week 1 with the Buffalo Bills against the New York Jets. And then all the air went out of the balloon. They win 7 games, re-rack it to 2024. And we're trying to make all the vibes as good as they were a year ago. Maybe, maybe not, because they're already starting a little bit strange. We knew it was a little awkward when Robert Saleh came out and said that Aaron Rodgers' absence from mandatory minicamp was unexcused. Well, inexcused would probably be the right term, but that's fine. That's fine. Unexcused absence. We are not excusing him not being here for practice.
Is it inexcused
or he
beforehand?
He said inexcused.
It's inexcused if you're talking about it. It's inexcusable, but it's unexcused if it's after the fact, right?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Where's Armin?
That sounds right.
Pipe bomb. What the hell?
You think I'm the grammar police? Oh,
I want to know. Which one is it? I need to know. I got kids. I got to teach my kids.
Man,
how am I supposed to teach them if I don't know?
Well, I wasn't hired because of my brain. You know what I mean?
Okay. Unexcused pipe bomb.
For your beauty.
Spell it for me.
UN excused.
All right, there you go.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, and we will. But so unexcused, inexcused, it's inexcusable, said Robert Saleh, that Aaron Rodgers is not here at mandatory minicamp. Eyes go up. How's Aaron going to respond to that? Where is Aaron? We went on a good week and a half where no one knew what Aaron was doing. Mike Florio was looking up any ayahuasca retreat in the world, in the universe. Maybe he took an Elon Musk spaceship and flew to a different ayahuasca retreat. We didn't know. We found out that he was visiting the ancient tombs and scouting through Egypt, enjoying some pyramids. And he got back and had himself a conversation. And luckily for all of us, Diana Rossini is really plugged in with the New York Jets. The New York Jets fans and the personnel departments at New York hate it. But she had the story and shared it on the new podcast called Scoop City, brought to you by The Athletic and theathletic.com, with our guy Chase Daniel and Diana Rossini telling us how the first conversation with Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh went when he returned. Could have been avoided, but luckily it wasn't. Thank you for getting that story, Diana Rossini, because the statement in there right around the 17-second mark, John, is the walk-off. Robert Saleh wanted to make sure people knew Aaron Rodgers is the GM. Good time to put your foot down, boss, about 15, 16 months into this marriage with Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets.
Well, he didn't say that. That sounds like something Diana Rossini got. I wonder if she still has Aaron Rodgers' number lost or if he actually was the one feeding her this information about how this whole thing went down. To me, it sounds like, and this is what it sounds like to me, Aaron Rodgers was not going to be able to avoid getting fined for missing mandatory minicamp. The Jets were okay with them missing mandatory minicamp, but he had to be fined for it. If you're going to be fined for something, that means it's unexcused. That's the only.
Sure.
You can't say it anywhere else. You can't say it's an excused absence, but he's going to get fined. So Rodgers knew he was going to get fined. He had planned this vacation many months ahead of time. He had planned it. He was going to do it. The Jets were like, fine, you're going to get fined. If you're okay with getting fined, yeah, I don't care about losing that money. Yeah, take that money, whatever. And then when they say it's like, Aaron, what the hell do you want me to say? I want you to lie. Like, I mean, that's the only way I can picture this thing going down.
We want you to be a little cloudy with it. Why don't we just say, we're being immunized here, and that's where we're going here. It does seem like he wanted him to be rather vague or ambiguous. Find a way to mislead them and just say, like, you know what, just don't say anything about it. Just leave it off to the side. It won't matter. Well, Aaron, people are going to ask me about it. Aaron.
They're gonna see.
They only are coming to
here.
see you. They're only here on June 19th, June 17th to see you. All due respect to Quinnen Williams. He's one of the best defensive tackles in football. No one gives a rip how good 95 is looking in his underwear and shorts today. They want to see you.
Because we won 5 games with him last year.
Thank you.
Without you. That's why they want to see you. They want to see you throw those throws that they saw at Hard Knocks last year that I was giggly like a college schoolgirl over.
They want to
see that.
You. They want to see you working with Nathaniel Hackett, the guy that we wanted to potentially replace this year, but you decided that, well, no, we can't do that. Can't do that. We got to keep Nathaniel Hackett. We love Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett is going to bring us greatness here. We can't get rid of him. So they want to see you working with Nathaniel Hackett and making sure that now he's going to be able to call plays, unlike he was doing with Zach Wilson when, you were gone for 4 weeks when you were rehabbing last year. It is remarkable how setting up to be toxic this situation is in New York.
They want to see you throwing to Allen Lazard.
Yeah,
who you told us.
Whoops.
We had to go get.
Nope. They want to see you throw the ball to Garrett Wilson before we give him this fat new payday because he's going to be one of the best wide receivers in football. Aaron, they want to see you behind Tyron Smith and Moses, the brand new right tackle and left tackle we brought in. No, don't worry about them both being over 30 with massive injury histories in their careers. They want to see you standing behind these mountains of offensive linemen that we brought in. That's what we're here for, Aaron. All due respect to Breece Hall, nobody really cares about watching him run around here.
Do you know the funny part is this is all what we said New York was going to be. Hey, be careful with that media up there in New York. They're a little different. They're a little different. Yeah. Now, Diana, she's in there and she's, messing it up for Robert Saleh. And he's like, damn, I really didn't do anything bad. I really didn't want people to think he wasn't the GM. Like there's no point in that. That is speculation. Like this is what the New York media is going to do to this all season long. They couldn't do it last season. They couldn't do it. They missed out. He got hurt. He was done. It was over, right? Couldn't do it last season. They're going to do this all year.
All year long. And this is going to be awesome theater.
This is going to be some of the greatest theater we get, some of the greatest reality television we get in the NFL in a long time. And I picked the Jets to be really good last year because I thought there was going to be a fire burning in Aaron Rodgers' belly to go out there with this team that is, when you look at this team on paper, this team is pretty legit.
Oh, seriously?
Absolutely. They got serious people all over the place here on this team. And yeah, they look pretty damn good. But I'll be honest with you. I don't know if missing an entire season, the year before was not his best year. It was not his best. A lot of things went into 2022 not being Aaron Rodgers' best year as a Green Bay Packer. One of which, not having Devontae Adams and then having to try and throw to rookie wide receivers and young wide receivers all across the board. So yeah, I do believe this team is stacked on paper. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to have it this year. I don't know if I felt he would last year. And I don't know if he's going to have it this year.
Well, and that's where, you mentioned it of Robert Saleh. We don't know where Diana gets this from, right? Like, we don't know how plugged in with how many different people in the Jets organization these conversations are having. How many of these behind closed doors conversations that, well, at least the New York Giants are finding out. Maybe we don't want all of those out into the open on Hard Knocks offseason version. I don't know if these are all in massive group conversations and there's this belief. But John, I do wonder how many people in that building are wondering the same thing of, hey man, we saw that he had something last year, but is that something 2020 and 2021? Or is that something about all we're going to get from 2022 and beyond? And that's what we're going to see. Yeah. I do think there's growing concern in there about it.
There is growing concern about that. And clearly there should be growing concern about that. He played 5 plays last year, 4 plays last year. That's all that he actually played on football. I'm concerned for Aaron Rodgers' health as a friend, right? To go back out there and to try and do this again. Because here's the thing too, Billy, I want to see him have success. I do.
I do
that
too.
That might make me a bad guy in Green Bay. They're in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
They're in it. It doesn't matter to me. If I could pick 2 teams to play in the Super Bowl this year, I would pick the Jets and the Packers. That would be my matchup. That would be
booked like WrestleMania.
It would be booked like WrestleMania. It'd just be so perfect. It'd be like if when Tom Brady went to Tampa, he got to play the Patriots. That is what I want. I want Aaron Rodgers and the Jets to be the Packers' opponent in the Super Bowl this year. Which is tough because I want to see Aaron Rodgers add to his legacy, but not beating the Packers. So I'd have to have the Packers beat Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl, which would be theater, which would be spectacular. It would be incredible.
920. You clowns aren't happy if you can't bash Rodgers. No, like, again, listen, we like Aaron. I've loved watching Aaron Rodgers play football. He has brought me more entertainment watching football and joy as a Packers fan than a lot of people I could even fathom. I want to see him play well. It just continually looks like it is going to be a even stickier situation than anybody could have anticipated there. And in this position, in this job, I'm going to be very entertained to watch it. I'm going to be very excited to watch throughout of it.
He's saying we're not happy if we can, or he's not happy if we can't.
You clowns aren't happy if you can bash Rodgers. See, I interpret it as a mistype because there's littered throughout here on mistypes. One stop, Coon. You're not Rodgers' friend like you say. Hey, love, need another season. And from 1 to end to put a season-long season like half of a season. Huh?
That's how I write.
Dynamite drop in, Monty. That broadcast school is definitely paying off. That is Jeff Orlowski. That is why the pipe bomb is in the building, to drop bombs like that.
Mm-hmm.
John, have you been able to gather anything from what that text was trying to read? I was trying to think about it.
I'm not quite sure. The truth of the matter is, and
he said, read the whole text. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, we tried.
I mean this wholeheartedly.
Tried, bud.
100%. Just like I said last year, if the Packers don't win the Super Bowl, I want it to be the Jets. That can piss people off. And I told you this too, and I meant this too. I want Aaron Jones to have immense success in Minnesota. I don't want him to run well against the Packers.
Yeah, 2 games I would like to see him now.
I mean, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to do that as a fan. You're allowed to do that as a friend. I wish for great success for Aaron Rodgers. In fact, I was doing an interview the other day about somebody doing an inside piece about Aaron Rodgers coming back from the Achilles at 40 years old. And I said, I want to see his legacy fulfilled. I want to see his legacy completed. I don't think one Super Bowl is justice for Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback. I've said that many times. I feel like 2011 was a failure by mostly the team on him. I feel like 2014 was a failure mostly by the team for him. Now, granted, he had a couple interceptions in that game as
part of it.
2016 was a massive failure by the team on him. I mean, quite frankly, that year, 2016, he carried that team to that spot.
Had no business being in the NFC
He
title
carried
game,
that team to that spot. 2019, that was an interesting season. Yeah, I mean, he had success that season, but the team had success that season. The defense was not ready to be on the level that they were on that season. 2020 was the one that really, really hurt. That's the one where you feel like everything kind of falls apart. But I don't think his legacy is fulfilled yet. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is the quality of a quarterback that he deserves to have 2 championships. And you know what? Maybe it's one of those situations where it's a Peyton Manning or it's a John Elway, and he rolls out with one at the very end.
The tough thing is, I don't know that these teams are that Broncos 2015 team. Like that Broncos defense was different when you start looking at the kind of players they had there. Is this Jets defense that good? Hey, maybe we'll be more surprised.
I think they're close. I think they're close to that good, Billy. I'm dead serious. Now, you talk about Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware. You know, who was the
TJ Ward in the back end there?
I'm thinking of the big Greg Wolf, right? Was it Wolf?
Derek Wolf.
Derek Wolf. I mean, they had some monsters on that defensive front. They had very good inside linebackers. That was a good defense. I think this defense is really close to that.
Well, and I mean that's one of the best defenses assembled. So like if indeed this one can be that good, then maybe we will have more egg on our face that they should and can be in that realm. Man, Shaq Barrett was on that team at 23 years old. I kind of forget about that one.
Yeah, he was kind of lost in the fray.
Young cat over there. 5 sacks.
Look at this. But just as we talk, Jermaine Johnson, we don't know what his career is going to turn into, but it looked pretty good start last year. Javon Kinlaw, Quinnen Williams. Is there a better 1-2 punch in the NFL?
If Kinlaw plays the way he could have coming out, then probably not. No, because Quinnen Williams is that good.
And then Hassan Reddick on the other side. If he goes back to the way he played in Philadelphia a few years ago.
That's the question. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm talking those 4. If those 4 play to their potential, that's the best defensive line in the NFL.
Yeah. Clearly. Oh, and CJ Mosley right behind him as well.
Yes.
Sauce Gardner at the cornerback spot, one of, if not the best corner right now in the league. They got the dudes at every spot. So now everybody just thinks that they're going to add Devontae Adams there, John, and that's the next thing to watch for the New York Jets. Not, how they actually perform in games.
Now, that's something. You're talking about Aaron Rodgers out there at the American Century Classic in Tahoe saying, I miss Devontae. I can't wait to play with him again. Right? If you put Devontae Adams on this team, this is going to be scary. There's not going to be a whole lot you can do. You put Devontae Adams on this team with Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Breece Hall at the running back position. You might not have to. That offensive line, that offensive line might not have to hold up all that much. You might just convince Aaron Rodgers, hey, quick game's where it's at. You're going to win on quick game.
I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see how much they end up buying. And I'm also like Peter in Milwaukee because I like this. And this is exactly where I'm sitting at. You can root for Aaron Rodgers as a person for his success as a player. You can also root for all the drama and hashtag team content. It can be both. And I'm in with all of them. Yes.
Peter gets it. That's exactly what we're talking about.
I
think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be that all year.
Because if they're good, there's more content. Guess what? When they were as average as possible a year ago, you couldn't enjoy it as much as possible. All right, 414-799-1973. I am going to thoroughly enjoy how on earth John Kuhn brings together a winner for tonight's All-Star game. I got to assume it's the All-Star game, unless we're, betting on the weather at some particular point with Potawatomi Sportsbook.
The Jinx, the Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook can't miss Jinx was out yesterday as it slaughtered Pete Alonso, as it slaughtered the home run derby and came in absolutely DFL. We're going to try not to do that here today. But before I give you my pick for tonight's All-Star game, let's first remind you that, and I don't know what my favorite thing about Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook is, Billy. I would love to say it's the couches that you can sit down at and kind of just have your own separate party with a couple friends. I'd like to say it's the loungers, as I almost fell asleep in one of the loungers on Nooner Day. I'd like to say it's the high top tables so you can just have some drinks and be always moving. But I think it might be the food and the drinks in there at
I'm
Potawatomi
with you
Casino Hotel Sportsbook. The menu is exceptional. You're looking at a 2,000 square foot LED screen, and yet you have some of the best chicken wings, some of the best pizza, some of the best burgers, and you got the coon dog sitting right there on that menu, and it's all very reasonably priced. It's a hell of a good time. So make your way down to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook. Yesterday, I told you Gunnar Henderson, Pete Alonso bombed the home run derby. Gonna not do that today. I like the All-Star game under 7.5 runs tonight.
Okay.
I
okay.
like it
Here we go.
7.5 runs tonight. I acknowledge you got the best hitters in baseball. But the way they roll these rotations and the way these pitchers come in there, I'm very interested in thinking that it's going to be a 2-1 ball game here tonight. I think it'll be very close ball game here tonight. 2-1. That's what I'm predicting on this. And I think I think Major League Baseball got it right. Paul Skeens started for the All-Star game. I was told I was stupid by Matt in Milwaukee for even considering that, or even
Matt does not like
proposing
Paul Skeens.
That. He does not. He's not a Paul
Paul
Skeens fan.
Guy.
He's not a Paul Skeens fan. I thought he should have been the All-Star game starter, and he is. So if I'm terribly stupid, I guess Major League Baseball could be considered terribly stupid as well. Maybe not. So we'll get that here tonight. All-Star game under 7.5 total runs.
I also love that we also get Corbin Burns starting in this All-Star game. And the tough thing is not hearing Armin Sarian's head explode while admitting Corbin Burns is having a really good year, while then John also finding a way to cape up and talk more about Joey Ortiz, right? Like it would be, the wheels would be turning in his mind so fast that I'd have to hit him with a Molly Kiram. Hey, you got to let me do my job and go to break here, because he'd be talking to himself in circles about, yeah, good, well, congratulations for Corbin. But I mean, really, it ends up working better for the Brewers. Works out better for the Brewers because otherwise we wouldn't have Joey Ortiz and we wouldn't have DL Hall. And we wouldn't have had that 34th pick that we just took somebody in. The kid from, you like the guy from Tennessee, right? Tennessee first baseman from Tennessee. Just got him with that 34th pick. We wouldn't have got that. We wouldn't have had that if we would have had Corbin Burns. But bro, good for Corbin Burns. No, good for Burns. Good for Burns. Good for Corbin. It's fine. It's fine. He's on my watch list. I think he still is, bud. We miss you, man. We really do miss Harmon. Love that kid. Hey, we got more coming up. We got more guys that are now ahead of the aforementioned Aaron Rodgers and Charles Woodson on that top 100 athletes of the 2000s list that continues to get stranger and stranger. And just wait until number 67 pops up, because that is a name that is going to bring a lot of arguments here. It's 9 to noon with Kuhn, Billy, and Pipe Bomb on the Game. 9 to noon on the game. Jeff Orlowski in for our guy Armin Sarian. I'm Billy Schmidt. John Kuhn with all of you on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line. That made up for it earlier. That was what we needed. We needed to get a good one in here before the end of the day. And I think we just did. 414-799-1973 is the NicolaLaw.com talking text line. It's been buzzing. We've been having a lot of fun conversation throughout the day. Ryan in a car said, dude, you are talking way too slow to be doing an impression of Armin Sarian from the last break. But listen, Armin, maybe he's going to slow down now that he's a father. Maybe now he's going to start slowing down into his older age because, boy turns 40 this year. So things start changing for that young man. So we'll start seeing at some particular point in time. I know that he'd be having some frustrations. I know that he'd be angry about some of the numbers and some of the rankings here, as ESPN has put out once again, day number 2 of this combining ranking the top 100 professional athletes since 2000. Will it be Tom Brady? Will it be LeBron, Serena Williams, Roger Federer? We don't know. However, we do know that where a couple of Wisconsin athletes have fallen, we're a little bit surprised with. We see Aaron Rodgers at 91. We saw Charles Woodson yesterday at number 100. Today, as we roll through 75 to 51, only adjacent Wisconsin guy that I could throw in here, John, would fire up our boy Armin Sarian. Jason Kidd, number 69 on this list, 75th anniversary team, NBA Hall of Famer, NBA champion.
There's another one.
Oh, there's plenty here. There throughout with the Wisconsin tie. This one from the state of Wisconsin, 5-time Pro Bowler, 5-time first team All-Pro, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, tied for most all time, and member of the 2010s All-Decade team. Only player with 20 plus sacks in multiple seasons. Number 58 on the list is JJ Watt.
Now, I'm just JJ Watt again. This is what's going to be the fun part, is because every single one of you mean to tell me JJ Watt's a better athlete than Aaron Rodgers? Do you mean to tell me that? Charles Woodson. You could say,
yeah.
You could say maybe because he was. No, I'm just comparing what they did, apples to apples. JJ Watt never won a Heisman. Charles Woodson did.
That he didn't do. No,
but he did win Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL 3 times. Right? He is a surefire. His
first
credentials
for sure.
His credentials defensively stack up there with Charles Woodson's. I get that. Okay, so that one, no, but above Aaron Rodgers, it's just odd to me. They are odd the way that these things are kind of comprised and put together. Now, if you tell me freaks of nature, yeah, absolute freaks. If that's what we're doing here with this list, then okay. But you got Steve Nash on here at 51. How is that even possible? How is that possible?
That's a great question, and that starts the real questions. I don't understand, and maybe this is, John, the bias towards the National Football League that I have, right? I love baseball. I love basketball. Adrian Beltre didn't strike me as the 52nd greatest athlete of the 2000s. 455 home runs is fantastic. Again, maybe it's just because we pay too much attention to the NFL. We watch so much of the NFL. But Steve Nash's 2 MVPs continue to be questioned. Year in and year out, people are bringing that one up. 8-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA, 5-time assist leader. He's 51, and he's ahead of some other basketball players that kind of surprised me that they were up here. For crying out loud, 67 is James Harden. The 67th greatest athlete of the 2000s is James Harden, the man that's now demanded a trade 3 separate times from 3 different organizations, the most perpetually unhappy human being of all time. That one is even more staggering.
Yeah, and there's just, you're looking at this and you're trying to figure out what is the basis for choosing these athletes. Is it most popular? Is it most impactful? Is it most accomplished? And I think in all those ways, Aaron Rodgers and Charles Woodson are slighted a little bit in comparison with some of these guys. Or some of these guys are just way heavily overestimated here. Shohei Ohtani. Now listen, he's had an incredible, couple seasons since he was a rookie in 2018. So let's call that 5 years. He's had an incredible 5-year run. You mean a 5-year run can throw you into number 62 right now?
62 all time.
So what he's done is already greater than what Aaron Rodgers has done.
Well,
is that what you're telling me?
And I'm fascinated because there's an excerpt here in the first write-up, John, where it says, voters were instructed to consider only an athlete's performances in the 2000s. We understand that part. But it goes, other athletes such as Patrick Mahomes, Nikola Jokic, or Shohei Ohtani obviously have more greatness ahead of them. So we'll see how high their accomplishments so far get them on the list. In the end, we received more than 70,000 votes from ESPN contributors to create their own top 100, 25 per day until we get to the 100, the number one greatest athlete of the 21st century. So again, it's so many different places comprising of the knowledge of different people covering all different sports. Derek Jeter falls in number 53 here. Now, since 2000, that also cuts out a couple of his World Series, the quick three-peat that they had.
Yeah,
and without his three-peat, I don't know that he's 53 necessarily.
And that's easier said than done, right? Hey, forget about this stuff.
Forget about 3 championships in a row that he just won right before.
Well, I can't forget about it.
It's kind of difficult for me to do.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess Charles Woodson's, this is not in court. You can't strike this from the record. You can't just eliminate these things. And some people are, well, why are you talking about why are you talking about this stupid poll and this stupid list? Because this is what happens this time of year.
Because it's All-Star break,
it's All-Star break. It's not just All-Star break. Think about everything that's coinciding right now. It's All-Star break. Heck, it's WNBA break. Heck, it's break before the actual Olympics start break. It's all kinds of breaks going on right now. They're break before camp actually starts next week break. So there's a lot of breaks going on right now, and this is what we do with lists. But let me tell you, as I hear this list, and Dan Orlovsky was just on with McAfee, right? We saw that, because we have stuff going on at the same time. He was just on with McAfee. He was talking about the list that came out yesterday of the general managers or the, scouting people or those coaches around the league that voted in their top 10 quarterbacks. And he commented on that, and they talked about that for 10, 15 minutes and blah, 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 blah. Here's how a lot of these lists go down. And this is honest, because I was acknowledged on a top 100 list one time.
Come on now.
As number 92.
Let's go.
And I remember the guff and the controversy and all the questioning of like, Coon at 92? Yes, I was James Harden on a list at one point in time. I was the guy everybody says is way too high on the list at 92, by the way. It wasn't 58. It was 92.
no one should have been that upset about it.
And I know how that list works for the NFL Network when they're picking their top 100 players.
Well, that one comes out soon too.
Yeah. You know what they do with that list? They have guys at the very end of the season. They have about 20 pieces of paper, and they ask guys to write their top 20 in. That's it. They ask guys to write their top 20 in.
Well, that doesn't sound like 100.
No, it's not 100. And guess what? Out of the 50 people that they ask on a team, maybe 10 guys do it. And maybe 10 players do it, right? And out of those 10 players, they're writing 20 names. Do you think my name was on anybody's sheet 1 through 20?
Rare. No, I'm not going to.
No.
Probably one.
No.
One guy, and that's how you got to 92nd.
No, what I honestly think it is, okay, this is where we got about 50 of the top 100. Now we're going to have somebody else go through, some producers,
find some interns,
and we'll say, hey, this. So I am at peace knowing that at least one person in this world, one singular person, a producer or an executive producer or somebody somewhere, thought I was 92 out of the top 100 in the National Football League. Hey, I was just coming off a Pro Bowl.
Come on now.
I was just coming off an all-pro season. So I'm cool with that, knowing that at least one person felt I was that high. This is what these lists are. They're silly, they're goofy, but man, they're a lot of fun to talk about.
See, now instead, you bring up the producer. I just like to think of one fullback being the guy that ended up filling this thing out in Washington.
No, that's what happened. Patrick DeMarco down there in Atlanta. Patrick and DeMarco, late in my career down there in Atlanta. He was like, man, you know what? I'm a young buck in this game playing the fullback position, and I watched this guy for a long time.
Yeah.
And he deserves a little bit of recognition. I'm going to put John Kuhn in on this.
He's my number 5 best player in the NFL, and somebody's looking at his hand. Well, we can't just throw this out. He's one of 7 guys that filled it out on their team, so we definitely have to use this. Okay.
Unfortunately, he's the only Atlanta Falcon to do it, so it's weighted times 20 in this thing. So he's going to go raw, Heinrich.
Thanks, Patrick. Hey, we appreciate you. You're a real one, standing up for the boys, Patrick. 414-799-1973. All right, we'll round third. We'll head for home coming up here on the other side. We'll hand it off to Jocko coming up in about 20 minutes or so from right now. It's 9 to noon. He's John Kuhn, two-time Super Bowl champion. I'm Billy Schmid. Low pipe. Jeff Orlowski's off to the right. It's 9 to noon on the Game. 9 to noon. Quick Trip takeaway of the day coming up in a matter of moments. That's always presented by Quick Trip, one of our favorite places. But just a quick nugget in the NFL relates to a couple of former Green Bay Packer members. Well, one former member of the Green Bay Packers and a couple others that will be adjacent. But Alonzo Highsmith has officially been named and given the title of Senior Personnel Executive alongside his friend Elliot Wolf with the New England Patriots. A couple of more Green Bay folks ending up there in New England. Alex Van Pelt, quarterback coach, already out there, John, working with Drake May. Very much a Green Bay connection there in Foxborough as they're trying to go into the next era of Patriots football with Elliot Wolf.
And it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Elliot Wolf just kind of an interim GM in the meantime while Belichick was gone? And now it seems like he may have been given the leash to establish and create his own personnel department, if that's the case, I am so happy for Elliot Wolf. I was nervous that this was going to be just a short period of time. He was going to be able to do the draft because, hey, guess what? We actually got to draft.
Yeah, we got to draft players.
We got to draft. Okay, we got to pick up and Elliot, you've been here, so you run this thing, and then we'll find a GM later. But no, this sounds like it's going to be Elliot Wolf is the GM going forward for the foreseeable future if he's putting his team together, and some of his team is including some of those old. Listen, the personnel department for the Packers in the early 2000s was exquisite.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it's the who's who.
Yep.
It was not just Ted Thompson. It was John Schneider, right? It was John Dorsey.
Yep, John Dorsey in there too.
It was Alonzo Highsmith. It was Elliot Wolf. That is a who's who.
Scott McCloughan in there too.
Yeah. That is a who's who of personnel departments right there. Guys that have been GMs at multiple teams, several different teams, and all working in that same group. And a lot of times the personnel department's very much like the coaching tree. The better your assistants are, the better the head coach is, the better the team is. So you get to see why a lot of that talent that came in there in 2000s and early 2010, because you got guys that all turned out to be GMs now.
Yep.
A GM for the Patriots, longtime GM for the Seahawks and John Schneider, a GM for the Chiefs and for the Browns and John Dorsey. So you got massive amounts of wealth when it comes to football knowledge sitting there underneath Ted Thompson at that time. And man, I'm happy for Elliot Wolf because he started working here about the same time I started playing here, and we got to know each other pretty well. So I'm glad to hear that.
So yeah, executive vice president of player personnel. So there'll be GM most likely underneath him, but those responsibilities include overall direction of the personnel department. And the interesting thing is, John, it really did just like once he didn't get the Packers job, his name kind of went silent for a little while. You just didn't hear about Elliot Wolf's name pop up until all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, Elliot Wolf is like second in command with Bill Belichick. Like, wait a second. Mm-hmm. When did that happen? Oh, last like year and a half, 2 years. So there's definitely something there in New England that if you're Robert Kraft, yeah, why not? Let's try to tap into what they had going on there in the mid 2000s in Green Bay and see if we can't pull some of that, because Alex Van Pelt has only been talked very glowingly from anybody that I've heard about his ability to help develop quarterbacks and young guys. And they're going to do a whole lot of developing with one Drake May there in New England. One thing that I don't believe they're going to do a whole lot of this year, sadly, winning games, but getting better. Come on. Got to get better. We got to walk. We got to crawl before we can walk and before we can fully run there with that Patriot team, because they are starting from the bottom, and then we'll see where they end up getting to, because that is a bottom basement situation right now, it feels.
Yeah, but you never know. Where did you see the Houston Texans being last year?
Closer to the basement.
I'm serious.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We were talking about last year, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young. Okay, C.J. Stroud's the second choice in this whole thing. The Houston Texans are coming off the debacle with Deshaun Watson. Where are they going to be? This looks like an organization that through the Brian, give me the last name.
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien, through the Bill O'Brien times of being okay, we're close, but we can't really recover because we keep shooting ourselves in the foot with things, and then we shot ourselves in the foot with this quarterback and that whole situation. So you didn't expect the Houston Texans to be as good as they were last year. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb with you and say I don't think the New England Patriots are that, but I mean they could win about 5-6 games.
We will be surprised by multiple teams in the NFL. The Patriots could be one of those teams. If the Jets trend in the negative direction, like we talked about a little bit before, then maybe that does help out the Patriots. Maybe they do steal one of them things.
I want to do something real quick.
Come on, let's hear it.
Here. I want to go football. I want to see NFL futures for the Jets.
That's going to be our Quick Trip takeaway presented by Quick Trip. Need something for dinner tonight? Don't cook.
It gave me the Grey Cup. I don't know. Where's the NFL? They gave me the Montreal Alouettes or the Toronto Argonauts.
No, we don't need the Alouettes.
No.
We don't want the Alouettes. Come on, CFL futures. No, we can't have any of those CFL futures in here. If you're looking for Jets futures, you looking for win total?
I got it right here.
Come on now.
Jets. No, we're looking for New England Patriots. What are you talking about? You got me all mixed up.
All messed up here. New England Patriots, they can't be more than 3.5 wins.
4.5. 4.5.
Wow. So there shows me losing money here in the odds business. Well, I just said 3.5. They're at 4.5. That feels like value. Feels like value there on the under.
You feel like value on the under?
Yeah. But come on, Elliot Wolf. I want to see him win a couple of games.
They're winning 4 games so hard. They are so hard winning these 4 games.
Maybe that's tomorrow. We find all those win totals and we have ourselves a lot of fun and invest a lot of people's money. Red Hot Tim Scott is going to give us $100,000.
Oh, it's D-Day tomorrow. You said it's D-Day tomorrow.
Supposed to be D-Day tomorrow. It might be D-Day tomorrow. Might be D-Day tomorrow. Otherwise, we're just going to take $100,000 of Tim Scott's money, walk up to the Potawatomi Sportsbook and place a bunch of NFL futures. Whatever it ends up being, it's going to be a fantastic day because Jeff Orlowski is going to be a part of it. You're going to be a part of it. John Kuhn is going to be a part of it. I'm going to be a part of it, Billy Schmid. And we hand it off to Mike Jocko. Like that makes it an elite day. And Tuesday, go enjoy that MLB All-Star game and get right back here coming up tomorrow at 9. We want perfect attendance when we return tomorrow and try to be better on 9 to noon with Kuhn and Billy on the game.